I'm here with Doris Gottlieb, who is an organizational development specialist in the Netherlands. And Doris, what languages do you work in? You work in English and
Spanish and Dutch.
Spanish and Dutch. Okay,
Yes.
I knew you had more than one language.
Yes.
And you have had an interesting story with the Genuine Contact Program because you came in touch with it around 2001, I think was the year, maybe?
I think it was 2000.
2000, okay.
I remember, what I remember was I had called someone I was interested in open space, and I had called somebody who was doing open space up in close to here. And I said, I'd like to learn more about it. I've seen that you know something. He said, oh, I'm having a training in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I said, oh, okay, I'll come. And that's how I ended up finding out about you. So it was a very serendipitous meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And what I remember is how deeply you got into the workshop, and then after that, and the timing, it's not really all that important, but you then said, I'm not quite ready for more of this at this time. You know, I like what we did, not quite ready for more of it.
Yeah.
And then some years later, I believe it was in 2008, but it might have been 2009, but I think it was in 2008, there was an email in my inbox that said, you might not remember me. And of course I did remember you,
Yes.
but you might not remember me. And suddenly, it's not, you know those things that are overnight, but they're not overnight because they took years to percolate?
Yeah.
But so I use the word suddenly, knowing it took a long time to percolate and many life experiences in between. You then said, I'm really interested in this program. I'm really interested in getting involved.
Yeah, absolutely. What you said is exactly what happened. I met you twice, I think about 6 days in total. And I'd met you first at this open space training, which was absolutely, like you say, I got very deeply involved in that. And then I think about a year later for a cross-cultural conflict resolution course in Germany. And somehow at that point, I got a bit, I can only say freaked out. Something touched me. I couldn't even tell you now what it was, but it frightened me about the community of Genuine Contact. And I think because it seemed, I wasn't used to knowing communities that seemed so open and so non-judgmental. And so I sort of began to mistrust that. That was my feeling at that moment. And basically what happened is I carried you with me for all those years. I would be doing work and I would have a really big problem. And like there was like, go back, what's the essence? You know? Okay. Or, oh, I think I should do storytelling here. Or all these things started to happen. So you were in my head, but not.
But I apologize for that.
Yeah. That was good. That was good. I was really happy to have you in my head, but I wasn't so conscious of it. And in 2008, I had it's funny, we're here at the about shift of consciousness. I literally had a shift of consciousness in my home. I was very depressed. I felt that the way that I was working wasn't offering people a shift, and it wasn't also making me happy. I had no joy in my work, but I also felt that if I continued to work the way that I did, all I was doing was helping people repeat very negative patterns somehow. And there was no breakthrough. And I actually sat in my house, and I sat on my couch, and I started thinking, who were the people who've taught me? And I came up with two very, very close women, friends of mine, who both died, who I'd known for about, I don't know, 11, 12 years. And you, who I'd known for 6 days.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this is very interesting, because I know you were in my head, guiding me at different moments, and I'd known you for 6 days, and you were sitting in the room with two women who've been basically my mentors for 12 or 13 years. Maybe I should re-examine my beliefs about why I was freaked out. And I went back to the website, and I said, no, I want this. This will help me. And that's how I found it.
Thank you. That would mean that instead of saying that you're an organizational development consultant, I'm going to call you an organizational breakthrough consultant. And it's not even about the breakthrough of the moment. It's about helping an organization sustain its whatever it's come to once it's done that breakthrough. So that's I just love that. And what you are describing is in relation, I think, to a topic that we cover in the Genuine Contact Way ebook, which is to do with fight, flight, and paralysis. And I wonder if you might like to say anything about that.
Yeah. Perhaps the best thing that I can say about that is that my in a sense, I can actually, if I think back to this story, I can say it had a lot to do with fight, flight, and paralysis.
Yeah.
Because what happened is I went into the Genuine Contact program, like I said, without any kind of knowledge about it. And I ended up in these assumptions of fight, flight, because I was either fighting against the Genuine Contact program or I was flying away from it.
Yes.
And at a certain point I was able to break that pattern and move forward. What I know in my own life is that if I'm involved with fight, flight, and paralysis, which for me is often when I don't connect with my own courage. So fear is overwhelming the courage.
Yeah.
Is how it sort of works for me. And then I'm paralyzed. The only thing that helps is finding some kind of genuine contact with myself. I wouldn't have called it that before, but I started to call it that now. So for me, what I also see in organizations is that there's a cycle, there's a circle. People need to find a way to break through from where I come from, organizational development-wise, you would call them basic assumptions, like fight, flight, freeze, and you can end up in these circles. And what I think was very interesting for me was having lived very much in that circle with my previous business experience. At a certain point I said there has to be something else, and that has to come from a different space. So learning to recognize that, but also learning what can I do to come into myself to understand how I can break out of these cycles, which I think often are very mindless cycles.
I think some of the best consultants that I know are people who've had personal experiences of things and taken the time to analyze what was that and how might that then apply to organizations, so that instead of coming from just sort of the theory, knowledge, and so on, you're coming from experience certainly, but also willing to go inside of yourself to feel how you felt in moments where, and you've worded it that your fear was greater than your courage.
Yeah.
And when we're in fear, the natural physiological responses, fear is a natural, normal, healthy response to a situation, not to life in general, but to a situation, so that we can either, to survive, we either do the flight or we do fight, or and paralysis in some instances is useful, and we do those things, and they're natural, and we're meant to do them for very short bursts of time. And what we are seeing today is people living in that fear and being constantly positioned within themselves from that fear to be in flight. They're just never landing, to be in fight, or to be in paralysis. And we're watching people inside of organizations as part of life in that state constantly. So you've touched your wisdom about when you were in fear, and fear was greater than courage, that you, even in relation to this Genuine Contact program, you came, you put kind of like a big toe in, or a little bit more, and you went, okay, I'm going to see what this is about. This is more about breakthroughs. It's more about being authentic, genuine, than you were quite ready for at the time, or maybe you were and didn't know it. And then, so you watched yourself do flight from it, and you even said to me, I can't go here right now. And you did the flight, and maybe inside of yourself you even felt like you were doing fight.
Well, I did fight in relation, and I can, in relation to some of the other things that I'd learned before. So what happened is that literally inside my head there were, and I know this isn't the same as only the physiological fight, but literally there would be fights between different voices about ways to work, which was between things that were more genuine and things that were more worked from a different perspective. And so there was absolutely lots of fight
inside of you.
Inside. So then there was lots of flight.
So while you were in flight, you were in fight as well.
Yes.
A little paralysis. And what I would like to know about is the moment. Like, can you get back to the moment when you decided to write me an email saying, I'm no longer in flight, I'm no longer in fight, I want to learn more because I want to come from I'm recognizing that the breakthroughs come from being genuine.
Yeah, I told a friend of mine that I had an epiphany on my couch. That was how I called it. and I was sitting on my couch in my house, and I had been very depressed about, like I said, about work and life. And I was looking outside. I have a beautiful view outside of trees, and so I was looking outside, and I just felt like, you know, if I live my life through a negative perspective and with so much judgment and so much interpretation as I had been living it, all I'm going to do is keep sort of repeating these negative patterns.
Having the same results.
Having the same exact results. And I also remembered saying, if I look at myself from when I was a little girl, you know, what kept me happy and alive in the difficult situations? I think the world can be a better place.
Mm.
And I want to figure out how to make the world a better place. And what I'm doing is telling people how to manage in the world that is. And I had this very strong feeling, that's what, you know, that was what was happening. All I'm doing is teaching people how to manage in what is. But if I look at who I am deeply, from very young, what I had wanted to do was help make the world a better place. And that connection with that feeling in myself very deeply brought me back to genuine contact, because I thought, you know what, that's what I think Birgitt and Ward in this program are doing, is being courageous to try and help make a contribution to change things, not just help people manage things as they are. And that's like with cross-cultural conflict resolution. It's not about managing the conflicts, but resolving them. I mean, even that was like, yeah, I want to help that. That's the piece. And that's what actually happened. So I literally sat on my couch, picked up my computer, and wrote you this email. And figured that I would remind you, even if you didn't remember me then. I had all my sort of plans of how I was going to remind you.
Well, I am thrilled that you are no longer in fight, flight, or paralysis, and I'm thrilled on behalf of the world for whatever the difference is that you are going to make, and just with that knowledge that when you make a difference, there will be ripple effects in whatever it is that's uniquely yours to contribute, and to whatever degree the Genuine Contact Weigh-In program can be of assistance to you in that journey. I'm delighted, and I know that you will make your own unique contribution based on who you are and that wonderful little girl still inside of you. You're ready to run into the world with joy. Thank you.
Thank you.